Hi Mark, you asked in a recent email about how I was getting on with maps, so I just thought I'd show you where I got up to and what some of the limitations are of what I've discovered so far. So Google offers a product called My Maps, which is free. It's part of the Google suite. It's basically Google Maps, but it allows you to customize what you see on it using this thing called layers. Now, crucially, I had originally thought that you would be able to link a spreadsheet direct into My Maps. That isn't possible, so it does require a copy and paste from one place to another. Now, it's not a deal breaker, I don't think, but it's just an extra kind of little step that you would need to do. The good news is it does import data really well, so I'll just demonstrate. So here we've got the NCCE Northwest Test Map. Currently it has nothing in it in terms of layers, just as this untitled layer. In a Google spreadsheet, I've got a record of courses that I might be running. So things that are important are that it has a sensible name that includes the provider, because this is what will name the layer, and you can rename it later on, but it's handy just to have it named as it is here. That it has course titles, because people are going to want to be able to see what's running on this map, so course titles is a kind of mandatory column that you would need. I think it's useful to have whether it's primary or secondary, and I'll show you why in a moment or two. And the other mandatory field is it needs the address of where that thing is happening, and this can be in any format, so it can just be a list of postcodes, and My Maps will do its very best to resolve all of these into points on the map. I'm also going to include when it's running as well, because I think that's useful for other people to know. So the process to get this Google Sheet into My Maps is just an import. So you can see I've got an untitled layer here. I'm going to do an import, and I'm going to choose my Google Drive, and I'm going to select that file that I've just been working on. Just to point out that this file needs to be the first tab. It will always just import the first tab. So if you have other tabs, just move it to the front in order to do this. So I'm going to select that file. I'm going to click on select. It will retrieve the document for Google Drive, and it will say because it has titles across the top, it's brought those titles in here. And I'm going to say that the place where the place marks are is the venue in my case. So that's where, and I can do a little question mark just to check that. Yeah, they are the address fields that I wanted to use. So click on the venue, click on continue. And then it says, what would you like me to label these pins that I'm going to put on? And I'm going to choose the course title, because I think that's the most useful thing for people to see, so they can see if Python courses are running in the same area as they are. If you wanted something more complex than this, you could do a kind of composite field in here of a bunch of stuff and import that, but I don't really see the point. So choose the course title, finish. You'll see it does a bit of loading of the layer here, and you can see it's now brought in those 4 courses that I have just imported, and I can see them as pins on the map. So there's 2 going on in Edge Hill and 2 going on in Manchester here. And then I can also just isolate out primary and secondary courses because of that field that I included before. So if I just want to get an overview of which courses are running where by age phase, then I can choose this little roller here and choose that I want to group places by primary, secondary, and then it will choose a different colour. You can see it's done that there for primary and secondary courses. So you can imagine if I had lots of primary and secondary courses across the Northwest, I could immediately see the dark green are primary and the light blue are secondary. And then if I want to look back again at the individual courses, I just click on that style by primary, secondary, and just go back to individual styles, and then I can see all the individual courses that are running. If I wanted to isolate a layer, so you can imagine if all of the hubs and RDPs had uploaded their data in this way, then you would see duplicates of layers like this. In fact, I'll just spoof that out so that you can see what it would look like. 1 second. Okay, so I've just created some dummy data for Warrington Bowen Collegiate. So the way that this would work is you would then just import a new layer. So I would add a layer here and then import, and again I've got a Google Drive with this set up that I've just quickly created. So the Warrington one, select, again just choose venue, and the course title. And so now you can see the Warrington schools have been added in as well. And then I can show and hide different providers. So I can say, I just want to see the Warrington courses, so I'll switch the Edge Hill ones off. And you could also style this so that you have different colours of pins for different providers. Although given what people are really interested in is boundaries, you're probably better off just clicking on a pin to see which it is. So if I'm worried about this boundary course here, I can just click on it and it tells me what it is when it's running, and I can see if that's a clash, and if it is, then I can obviously contact the provider because I know it's a Warrington course, and we can resolve that together. I think that's about it. The only thing I guess to say is what happens if you update this. So two things to say on updating really. One is if it's just a little change, you've mislabeled a course as secondary when it should be primary or whatever, then you can just go into the data table behind. So you just click on the layer that you're interested in and click Open Data Table, and you can see the data that's been imported, and you can just make changes in here for that course. If you want to add courses or radically change your course list, then the easiest way is just delete your layer and then just re-import it again from your spreadsheet, and that just refreshes the map with your latest information. So let me know what you think, whether this is going to be suitable. Feel free to share it around other people. Everybody could be added in to this map as an editor, and you can also publish this map as read-only as well, in case there are other stakeholders who are interested but that you don't want to be able to edit the map itself. Hope it's useful. Speak soon. Bye.